An 18-year-old man has killed at least 19 students and 2 adults in what was the 27th school shooting in the US so far this year. It happened at Robb Elementary School, 85 miles west of San Antonio, Texas. This is the worst school shooting in the US since Sandy Hook in Connecticut a decade ago. I'm joined now by Managing Editor of WSHU Public Radio, Terry Sheridan. Terry, good morning.
And I'd like to say good morning. I'll just say it's morning.
Yeah. This happened in the middle of the day yesterday. We got news of it last night before we went to bed. America is now in bed, just waking up on the East Coast. But already, I presume, there is a collective grief and, I'm not sure, a collective anger?
Absolutely. I mean, it's there, and it's weird. And I'm speaking personally now because there is the grief, there is the fighting back of tears, but there is also an anger, among people. It's because we know, as every one of the interviews and every one of the sound bites you just played, we know what the answer is, and it's just we have to end this, and it's just angering and maddening that we can't. And we always seem to ask the question, why does it happen here? Well, we know why it happens here, because our government does not have the courage to end this.
Is anything further known about the motivation of this 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, who himself was shot by police? So, unfortunately, no answers will be forthcoming from him. But anything in his social media, anything being revealed by friends, relatives as to what angered him?
Well, he did have made some social media posts about 2 hours before, in which the meme was YTF, the school's still open. His friends, or his old friends from grammar school, say that he was bullied as a child. He had a lisp, he had a stutter, and he had a rough time in the elementary school that he went in and shot up. He was also known to start to self-harm himself. Friends would say that he would show up at basketball games and he would have cuts all over his face. So that's what we know, that he was bullied as a child, but really nothing more than that. Again, I don't want to stereotype anything, but the classic picture of what they would call a loner.
Now, the calls for action, obviously from the Democratic side, condemnation from Joe Biden and from former President Barack Obama and Senator Chris Murphy. We heard his powerful words there. There will be a lot of anger, but Mitch McConnell stopping short of condemning or looking for any good gun control, and he is the man who could influence things, at least among some of the Republican senators. Greg Abbott seemed remarkably cool under the circumstances, a man who supported the most liberal gun laws in America.
Oh, absolutely. Now, in the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is going to force a vote in the Senate on that gun control bill that you heard Steve Kerr refer to. It's probably going to fail. They need the 60 votes, and some of the senators who could break the filibuster on it say they will not. But they feel it's important enough to get the Republican senators on record as soon as possible that they voted against it. Now, you're starting to hear from some of the conservative media that what they need to do is to either harden the schools or arm the teachers, which was something that we heard immediately after Sandy Hook almost 10 years ago. Also, you're hearing that, yes, we need to do more for mental health for these teenagers and young adults. But as, again, President Biden said, and then Senator Murphy said, other countries have mental health problems, but they don't have massacres of innocents.
The mantra will come from the Republican side. It's not guns that kill people. People kill people, which is such stuff and nonsense. If you don't have a gun, you can't use a gun to kill people. Okay, there's a knife in the kitchen drawer or whatever, but it's not the same. So where is this likely to go? Are we likely to have outrage for a few weeks and then it'll dissipate and nothing will change?
I don't know. I mean, my cynical self says, yeah, probably. My hopeful self says, hopefully, is this a turning point? After we saw at Marjorie Stoneham High School several years ago, that was the school in Florida, the high school in Florida, that created a groundswell of support. But did it ultimately do anything? Not really. Going back to Sandy Hook, which I covered briefly, and I know people who were first responders that day. If that didn't do anything, to change the laws, would this? So I don't mean to sound despaired, but I just don't know what we can do.
Just and very briefly and finally, Terry, how many of the senators and congressmen and women are in the pockets of the NRA and the gun lobby?
I do not know the number. I would say almost every Republican does get money from the NRA. I would say that also many Democrats get money from the NRA. However, because of some of the legal problems the NRA has had over the past few years, their influence is waning. But the gun manufacturers and Second Amendment advocates are still a very strong bloc.